Did you know that over 60% of Australian seniors could unknowingly be breaking the law in 2025? That's right, new rules have quietly passed, and most people over 60 haven't even heard about them. From changes that could cut off your pension without warning, to surprising new digital ID rules that may block your access to Medicare, these aren't small updates, they're potential game changers. Some laws come with steep penalties, others with hidden loopholes, and one in particular could delay your access to your super by 2 whole years. Sound shocking? It is. And the scariest part? No one's really talking about them. But we are. In this video, we'll reveal the 10 most important new Australian laws that every senior must know in 2025 and how to protect yourself before it's too late. Stick around to the end. Law number 10 might just save your future.
Number 1. Digital ID becomes mandatory for government services. Imagine waking up one morning, logging into your MyGov account to check your pension details, only to find you've been locked out. Why? Because in 2025, Australia has officially made it mandatory for all citizens, including seniors, to have a digital ID to access government services like Centrelink, Medicare, My Aged Care, and even some state-level health systems. This new rule is part of a broader push to streamline identity verification and cut down on fraud, but it's causing massive confusion and frustration, especially for older Australians who aren't confident with smartphones, apps, or even email. While younger people might find this change convenient, thousands of seniors are now struggling to navigate digital systems they've never used before. And without a digital ID, you may not be able to claim your benefits, book medical appointments, or manage your aged care plans. Services Australia has set up registration points at post offices and community centres, and you can also create a digital ID using the MyGov ID app. But here's the catch. The process requires a smartphone, email, and the ability to scan your identity documents, which not everyone has. Some seniors are finding themselves stuck in a bureaucratic loop, unable to access basic services simply because they don't know how to use the tech. The law does allow for in-person help, but with limited staff and high demand, wait times have become painfully long. If you or someone you love is over 60 and still relying on traditional paperwork, now's the time to act. Visit a service center or ask a trusted family member to help you get set up. Because as of this year, not having a digital ID...
Number 2. Compulsory Scams Awareness Test for Online Banking. In 2025, Australian seniors face a new legal requirement that's raising eyebrows, and for good reason. If you're over 60 and using online banking, you're now required to complete a compulsory scams awareness test before accessing certain digital banking features. Yes, you heard that right. No test, no full access. Why this sudden change? Because scammers have been relentlessly targeting older Australians, costing victims millions each year. According to the ACCC's Scam Watch, people over 65 lost more than $80 million in 2024 alone, mostly through phishing emails, fake phone calls, and online banking tricks. In response, the government has partnered with major banks to introduce a mandatory online safety module designed to educate and protect. Here's how it works. Before you can transfer large amounts of money, set up a new payee, or access investment tools online, you'll need to pass a short quiz on common scam tactics and how to spot them. It might sound intimidating, but the modules are free, simple, and user-friendly, often including short videos and multiple-choice questions. Once completed, your bank will flag your account as scam-aware, unlocking full online functionality and giving you access to enhanced fraud protection features like real-time transaction alerts and extra security checks. The downside? Many seniors are finding out about this rule only after they've been locked out of key services. So don't wait. Log in to your bank's website or app or call customer service and ask how to complete your scam awareness training. It's not just about following the law. It's about keeping your hard-earned savings safe in a world where digital fraud is getting smarter by the day.
Number 3. Pension asset test thresholds have changed. Here's a change that could quietly cost thousands of Australian seniors their age pension, and most people don't even realize it yet. In 2025, the federal government has revised the asset test thresholds, and the new rules are far less forgiving than before. If you're retired or planning to retire soon, this could be a financial curveball you weren't expecting. So what's changed? The amount of assets you're allowed to own, excluding your primary home, before your age pension starts getting reduced has been lowered. That includes things like investment properties, superannuation balances, vehicles, savings, and even valuable personal items. For single homeowners, the threshold now sits at $280,000, and for couples, it's $419,000. Go just $1 over that, your pension starts reducing, and fast. The catch is, many seniors don't know how their assets are being counted. For example, that old caravan or inherited land you rarely use might now tip you over the line. What's even more alarming is that some retirees are discovering their payments have been reduced or cut off entirely, simply because they didn't update Centerlink with current asset valuations. If you're unsure where you stand, don't wait. Book a session with the Centerlink Financial Information Service Officer. They can help you understand what's counted, how to legally structure your finances, and whether you need to take action. In some cases, rearranging your assets could restore thousands in lost pension payments. This law may not sound dramatic, but its impact is real. Losing your pension because of an old boat or some savings in the bank, that's not just frustrating, it's financially devastating. Knowing the thresholds and planning ahead could make all the difference.
Number 4. Rental cap laws now favor long-term tenants over 65. If you're a senior renting in Australia, 2025 has brought some long-awaited protection, but only if you know how to use it. A new federal initiative, adopted by most states and territories, now limits how much landlords can increase rent for tenants aged 65 and over. It's a game changer for thousands of retirees who've been struggling with soaring housing costs, especially in major cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Under the new law, if you're over 65 and have lived in your rental for more than 12 consecutive months, your landlord cannot increase your rent by more than the annual Consumer Price Index, or CPI, unless they can justify it with major upgrades or council-approved renovations. For many, this means rent increases are now predictable, capped, and far less stressful. The goal? To give older Australians the stability and housing security they deserve in retirement. With rising costs across the board, from groceries to electricity, this law aims to ease pressure and prevent seniors from being priced out of their homes. But here's the catch. This protection isn't automatic. You need to meet the age and tenancy requirements, and in some states you may have to register for the cap with your local tenancy authority. And unfortunately, many landlords won't mention this rule unless you bring it up yourself. So, if you're renting and over 65, take a close look at your lease agreement. Reach out to your state's tenancy advocacy service to understand your rights and make sure your rental increase complies with the new law. You've worked hard for your peace of mind. Don't let rising rent steal it away.
Number 5. New mandatory reporting for elder financial abuse. Here's a law that could make a life-changing difference, especially for seniors who may be quietly suffering. In 2025, the Australian government has passed a groundbreaking reform that makes it mandatory for banks, legal professionals, aged care staff, and financial advisors to report any suspected financial abuse of older Australians. Why is this so important? because financial abuse is one of the most common but least reported forms of elder abuse. It often happens behind closed doors, committed by people the victim trusts the most, like adult children, carers, or even close friends. It can look like pressuring someone to change their will, accessing their bank accounts without consent, or taking control of their finances under false pretenses. Until now, many professionals could turn a blind eye, either unsure of what counted as abuse or unwilling to get involved. But under the new law, if a staff member or advisor suspects something isn't right, they're legally required to report it to the appropriate authority, like the Elder Abuse Helpline or state-based protective services. This shift is designed to catch financial exploitation early, protect vulnerable seniors, and give victims a lifeline before the damage is done. It also sends a powerful message. Elder abuse is a crime, not a family matter, and it won't be ignored. If you're a senior, it's important to know your rights. If someone is pressuring you about your finances, or if your money seems to be disappearing without explanation, you are not alone, and now the law is firmly on your side. Reach out to a trusted advisor, aged care worker, or call the National Elder Abuse Helpline. Help is available, and now it's backed by the full weight of the law. Number 6. Superannuation access delayed until 67. This one has caught many Australians by surprise, and it could seriously derail your retirement plans if you're not prepared. As of 2025, the Australian government has officially raised the superannuation access age from 65 to 67. That means unless you meet specific early release criteria, you won't be able to access your super funds until your 67th birthday. At first glance, this might not sound like a big deal, but for those who are planning to retire at 65 or who are already in semi-retirement, it could mean 2 more years of financial strain, scrambling for income, or even having to return to work part-time. The change aligns with Australia's increasing preservation age and life expectancy, but for many seniors, it feels like a moving goalpost. It also creates a potential gap in retirement income. You might qualify for the age pension at 67, but without early super access, some people are now left in limbo, too young for the pension, but no longer working full-time and unable to touch their super. So what can you do? First, check your retirement timeline. If you were born after 1 July 1964, your preservation age is now 60, but you still need to wait until 67 to access your super under normal circumstances. It's more important than ever to speak with a financial advisor, review your savings, and explore transition to retirement strategies like part-time work or downsizing. The key takeaway? Don't assume you can access your super at 65 anymore. That window has shifted, and failing to plan for that gap could leave you financially exposed. Know the rules now so you're not caught off guard later.
Number 7. Aged care facilities now legally require consent for monitoring. In a major win for privacy rights, a new law passed in 2025 now makes it illegal for aged care facilities to install monitoring devices like CCTV cameras or audio recorders without the resident's written consent. This applies to both government-funded and private care homes across Australia, and it's a direct response to growing concerns over surveillance in personal living spaces. For years, many aged care providers have quietly installed cameras in resident rooms under the banner of safety or staff monitoring. But for seniors, this often meant a complete loss of privacy, especially in private areas like bedrooms and bathrooms. With this new law, facilities must now disclose exactly where devices are placed, explain their purpose, and obtain clear, informed consent from the resident or their legal guardian if the resident lacks capacity. This reform is part of a broader effort to restore dignity and autonomy to older Australians in care. It recognizes that while safety is important, privacy is a basic human right. The law also introduces strict penalties for facilities that fail to comply, including potential fines and loss of accreditation. If you or a loved one is moving into aged care this year, make sure to ask about their surveillance policy. You have the right to refuse monitoring in your personal space, and facilities must provide an alternative care plan if you do. It's easy to overlook this kind of detail when signing admission paperwork, but it matters. Your room is your home, even in aged care, and now the law agrees. Don't let hidden cameras become the norm. Know your rights, ask questions, and protect your privacy where it matters most.
Number 8. New driving assessment rules for seniors over 75. If you're 75 or older and still driving, there's a new law in 2025 that could impact your freedom, and it's essential you're prepared. Under updated national road safety regulations, all senior drivers aged 75 and above are now required to undergo both a medical and practical driving assessment every 2 years to keep their license. This move is part of a nationwide push to improve road safety as Australia's senior population continues to grow. While many older drivers remain perfectly capable behind the wheel, the government is responding to rising concerns around age-related conditions like slower reflexes, declining vision, and memory loss, all of which can affect driving ability. Here's how it works. Once you turn 75, you'll receive a notice from your state or territory transport authority. You'll need to visit your general practitioner for a medical check, which assesses vision, cognitive health, and mobility. In some cases, especially if there are medical concerns, you may also be referred for a practical driving test to confirm you're still safe to drive. If you pass both, your license is renewed for another 2 years. If not, you may be restricted to daylight-only driving, short distances, or in some cases, lose your license altogether. This can feel confronting, but it's important to view the change not as a punishment, but as a way to keep everyone safe, including you. If driving is essential to your independence, consider enrolling in a senior driving refresher course, which many local councils and motoring clubs now offer. Being proactive can make all the difference. Don't wait for the letter. Talk to your doctor early. Keep your eyes checked regularly, and stay informed. Your freedom matters, and this law is all about helping you keep it safely.
Number 9. Medicare gap fees now must be fully disclosed before treatment. If you've ever left a doctor's office feeling confused or even shocked by an unexpected bill, this new 2025 law will come as a welcome relief. From this year forward, all healthcare providers who charge above the Medicare rebate, commonly known as a gap fee, are now legally required to give you a full, written cost disclosure before your treatment begins. That's right, no more surprise bills after the fact. Whether you're visiting a GP, seeing a specialist, or going in for a minor procedure, providers must clearly outline what Medicare covers, what it doesn't, and exactly how much you'll need to pay out of pocket. This is especially important for seniors, many of whom live on a fixed income and can't afford to be blindsided by hidden charges. Previously, patients often assumed a service was fully covered, only to receive a bill weeks later with hefty gap fees. Now, providers must make these costs transparent, and you have the right to refuse or reschedule if the fees are too high. The law also encourages more practices to offer bulk billing for pensioners and concession card holders, with some clinics receiving extra incentives for doing so. But don't assume. Always ask. Before any appointment, say, "Can I please have a written breakdown of any expected out-of-pocket costs?" You're entitled to that information, and under the new law, Clinics must provide it or risk fines and professional sanctions. This is about protecting your wallet and your peace of mind. You should never have to choose between your health and your finances. Thanks to this change, you now have the power to make informed decisions before you get the bill, not after.
Number 10. End-of-life directives now legally binding across all states and territories. In one of the most significant changes for senior health care in 2025, advanced care directives, also known as end-of-life plans, are now officially legally binding across all Australian states and territories. That means no matter where you live or move to, your written health care wishes must be respected by medical professionals and aged care providers nationwide. Previously, these directives were often ignored or challenged when seniors moved interstate due to inconsistent laws and recognition between jurisdictions. This led to heartbreaking situations where a person's carefully planned wishes, such as refusing life-prolonging treatment in certain circumstances, were not followed, simply because they crossed a state border. This new law changes that. If you've completed an advanced care directive in your home state, stating your preferences for medical care, pain management, resuscitation, or end-of-life support, it is now legally enforceable across the country. Doctors, hospitals, and care facilities are obligated to honor your choices, regardless of location. This reform empowers seniors to have greater control over their healthcare decisions, especially in times when they may no longer be able to speak for themselves. It also gives families clear guidance, reducing the emotional burden during already difficult times. But here's the key. If you don't have a directive yet, or if yours is outdated, now is the time to act. Sit down with your GP or lawyer. Talk to your loved ones and make sure your directive is clear, current, and digitally stored with your medical records. This law is more than just paperwork. It's about dignity, autonomy, and peace of mind. Your voice matters, now and in the future, and this law makes sure it's finally heard. As you've just seen, 2025 isn't business as usual for Australian seniors. From the way you access your pension, manage your health care, protect your finances, and even handle end-of-life decisions, the rules have changed. Some of these laws may seem small at first glance, but their impact can be life-altering if you're not prepared. Whether it's the mandatory digital ID, the new pension thresholds, or the nationwide recognition of your end-of-life choices, each of these updates was designed to respond to real challenges, but they also come with new responsibilities. The truth is, staying informed is no longer optional. Knowing your rights and obligations could mean the difference between staying in control or being left behind. But here's the good news. You're already one step ahead. By watching this video, you've armed yourself with the knowledge most people still don't have. Now is time to take action. Double-check your pension status, talk to your GP about driving requirements, update your care directive, and help a fellow senior do the same. And remember, these laws are here to protect, but only if you know how to use them to your advantage. If this video helped you feel more prepared, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more important updates just like this. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you been affected by any of these laws already? And watch our next video, 7 Common Pension Mistakes to Avoid in 2025. It could save you thousands. Stay informed, stay empowered, and most importantly, stay in control of your future.